All right, everybody, welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm John, your host as always.
And I'm Jessica.
And we are ready to dive into some really cool stuff today.
Absolutely.
Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future deep dives. So, Jessica, we are going to be talking about something that I know a lot of our listeners are really interested in. And it is how to practice English every day, even if you're super busy.
Yes. One of the biggest challenges for English language learners.
I mean, let's be honest, sometimes even finding 5 minutes seems impossible.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a really interesting deep dive, I think, because the text that we're looking at, how to practice English every day, even if you're busy, it lays out 10 different strategies.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the cool things about it is that you don't have to do every single one of them every day.
Right.
You can really pick and choose what works for you.
Pick and choose what fits into your lifestyle.
Exactly.
Your schedule.
Yeah. So let's maybe take a quick look at what some of these strategies are.
Okay, so we have thinking in English.
Yeah.
We have passive learning. And we're going to lump a few things into that, like listening to podcasts, audiobooks, watching TV,
Okay.
YouTube videos.
Got it.
And then we have reading and writing. We're going to put those together.
Okay.
Speaking practice, and then visual and musical learning.
Wow, that's a pretty wide range.
Yeah.
So no matter what kind of learner you are,
Exactly.
I know, visual, auditory, kinesthetic,
There's something in here for everybody.
there's something in here for you.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with the first one, thinking in English.
Okay.
Now, this is something that, to be honest with you, when I first started learning Spanish, this is not something that I really even thought about doing.
Right.
But I have to say, once I started making that shift, it really changed things for me.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're rewiring your brain, right?
Yeah.
You're training your brain to think in English rather than translating back and forth.
Yeah. And I feel like it takes away a lot of the pressure, too,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not constantly trying to translate everything in your head.
Exactly. You're just allowing those thoughts to come naturally in English.
Yeah.
And one thing that I found really helpful when I was first starting to do this was just narrating my day. Like literally just talking to myself in English.
In your head or out loud?
In my head at first.
Okay.
Yeah, just like, okay, I'm getting out of bed. Now I'm going to go brush the teeth. I'm going to mix coffees. Just these little simple things.
So just like narrating your daily routine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then as you get more comfortable with that, you can start having, full-on conversations with yourself in your head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when you know you're really starting to make
Right.
progress.
Well, you know what's funny is I remember, I think it was when I was learning Spanish, I actually caught myself like daydreaming in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
And I remember thinking, that's so weird.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, my brain is actually starting to work in this other language.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, so thinking in English is a great way to, get that constant exposure to the language,
Mhm.
even when you're not actively studying.
Yeah, and it kind of sets the stage for everything else, right?
Absolutely.
Because if you're already thinking in English, then it's easier to speak and to understand and to write and to read.
Exactly.
Everything just kind of flows better.
Yeah, it becomes more natural.
Yeah.
So speaking of, constant exposure, let's talk about passive learning.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite strategies because it's so easy to fit into your day.
Yeah, I mean, I am a huge fan of podcasts.
Me too.
So I'm always listening to podcasts while I'm doing other things like,
Yeah.
cooking or cleaning or driving.
Yeah, and there are so many great podcasts out there for English language learners.
Oh, yeah. Tons.
And they cover such a wide range of topics, so you can definitely find something that interests you.
Absolutely.
And then, we've got audiobooks, another great way to get that passive exposure to the language.
I love audiobooks.
Oh, yeah.
I find that listening to audiobooks helps me to really focus on the pronunciation
Yeah.
and the intonation and the rhythm of the language.
And you can also pick up new vocabulary
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and, just kind of absorb the natural flow of English.
And you can listen to them at like different speeds too.
Yeah.
So if you're a beginner, you can slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're more advanced, you can speed it up. So it's
Exactly.
really customizable.
Now, let's not forget about TV shows and movies.
Oh, this is my favorite.
Yeah,
Because it's so much fun.
it is fun.
I don't even feel like I'm learning
Right.
when I'm watching a TV show,
But you are.
but I am.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up so much new vocabulary and slang and
Idioms.
idioms, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and YouTube videos too.
Of course.
I mean, YouTube is such a treasure trove of,
endless content
yeah.
for English language learners.
I'm learning things on YouTube that I would never learn in a textbook.
Absolutely.
Real world English.
Yeah, and it's it's so engaging.
It is.
You know, it's not just like dry, boring lessons.
It's authentic.
It's real people talking about real things.
Yeah, and one thing I would add about TV shows and movies is that you can really focus on the pronunciation.
Oh, yeah.
You can see how people's mouths are moving. You can
Yeah.
hear the different accents and the different intonations.
It's true. I mean, I learned a new slang term the other day
Oh, yeah.
from watching one of my favorite shows.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, I got to use that.
You've got to try it out.
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
So I love passive learning. I think it's a really fantastic way to,
Yeah, great supplement to your active learning.
supplement your active learning,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Okay, so let's
Mhm.
move on to reading and writing.
Okay.
So these two skills often go hand in hand. And I think a lot of people think that you need to be reading like novels.
You know, in order to improve their English.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily true. You
Oh.
can read anything.
Anything.
Yeah, articles, blog posts, social media posts, even just like the back of a cereal box.
Yeah.
It all counts.
It all counts.
Yeah, and I think the key here is to find something that you enjoy reading.
Yes.
Because if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to stick with it.
And you're not going to learn anything.
Exactly.
It's going to be like pulling teeth.
Yeah, so find something that you're interested in and just start reading.
Yeah, and you know what I found is that even like reading for just 15 minutes a day can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like anything else. It's about consistency
Consistency over time.
over time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to read for hours and hours every day.
Yep.
Just a little bit each day, and it'll start to add up.
And then with writing, the same thing applies.
Okay.
You don't need to be writing novels.
No.
You can write emails. You can write journal entries. You can
Ah.
write blog posts.
You can comment on social media posts.
Yeah, exactly. Just get those fingers typing.
Yeah, just get those words out there.
And the more you write, the more comfortable you'll become with the language.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get really hung up on like making mistakes
Oh, yeah.
when they're writing.
It's okay to make mistakes.
It's part of the process.
That's how we learn.
Yeah, I mean, I make mistakes all the time,
Me too.
and I'm a native English speaker.
Exactly.
So it's just part of the learning process.
And one thing I would add about reading and writing is that they can really help you to develop your vocabulary.
Oh, for sure.
You know, when you're reading, you're exposed to all these new words.
Yes,
And then when you're writing, you have the opportunity to use those words.
that's right.
And that helps to cement them in your memory.
Yeah, I think it's really important to not just like read a word and then move on,
Right.
but to actually like stop and think about it.
Yeah.
Look it up in the dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe write it down in a notebook.
Yeah, make it your own.
Yeah. Make it your own.
Use it in a sentence.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I once saw this really funny mistranslation online.
Oh, no.
And it was somebody had tried to translate the idiom break a leg,
Oh, my gosh.
literally.
Oh, no.
And it ended up saying like, I hope you break your femur.
Oh, dear.
And I was just like, oh my God.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. So it's really important to understand the context
Context is everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
of the language.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about thinking in English. We've talked about passive learning. We've talked about reading and writing.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
Speaking practice.
Oh boy.
The big one.
The one that everybody loves to hate.
I know it can be intimidating,
It is.
especially if you don't have a lot of opportunities to practice.
Yeah, if you don't live in an English-speaking country or if
Right.
you don't have like English-speaking friends or family,
It can be tough.
it can be really tough.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tips that this text gives for finding speaking opportunities?
Okay, so one of the things that they suggest is talking to yourself.
Again,
Again, yes.
out loud this time.
Out loud this time.
Okay.
So, you know, you can have conversations with yourself in the mirror.
Mhm.
You can practice giving presentations to your pets.
Yeah.
You can just, you know, talk about your day out loud. Just anything to get those words out of your mouth.
Okay.
And then another suggestion is to use language learning apps.
Oh, yeah. There are some great apps out there.
There are so many.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have features where you can actually speak with a tutor.
Yeah.
Or you can record yourself speaking and then get feedback.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I haven't tried any of those apps
You
yet.
should check them out.
Should, yeah.
They're really helpful.
Especially if you're, like you said, if you don't have a lot of other opportunities to practice speaking.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
So another suggestion is to join online communities.
Oh, yeah.
There are tons of online communities for English language learners.
Yeah, like Facebook groups,
Facebook group,
Reddit forums,
Reddit forums,
Discord servers,
Discord servers.
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and in these communities, you can connect with other learners from all over the world.
Yeah.
And you can practice speaking with each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great way to make friends
Mm-hmm.
and to improve your English at the same time.
I've actually done a few language exchanges,
Oh, cool.
which can be a little bit nerve-wracking at first,
Yeah, I bet.
but it's really fun.
Yeah.
You get to meet somebody from another culture,
Yeah.
and you get to learn about their language, and they get to learn about yours.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, and it's just a really fun way to practice speaking.
Absolutely.
So I highly recommend language exchanges.
Okay, and then the last suggestion for finding speaking opportunities is to find a language partner.
Okay.
So this could be a friend or a family member, or you could find someone online
Yeah.
who's also learning English.
Yeah.
And you can agree to meet up regularly and practice speaking with each other.
And that way you're both getting something out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So there are definitely ways to find speaking opportunities, even if you don't live in an English-speaking country.
You just have to be a little creative.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about thinking in English.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about passive learning, reading and writing speaking practice.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move on to visual and musical learning.
Visual and musical learning.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
It is fun.
Okay.
So visual learning is all about using images and pictures
Okay.
to help you learn English.
Okay.
So for example, you could label the objects in your house
Oh, yeah?
with their English names.
I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn new vocabulary.
It is.
And to see how the words are spelled.
Yeah.
And you can also use flashcards
Mm-hmm.
to help you memorize new words.
Yeah, or you can watch videos that have subtitles.
Yes.
So you can see the words and hear them at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then musical learning is all about using music to help you learn English.
Okay.
So you could listen to English songs
Mhm.
and sing along.
Oh, my gosh. I love singing along to English songs.
Me too.
Even if I don't know all the words,
It doesn't matter.
it's just fun.
It's fun, and it helps you to get used to the sounds of the language.
Yes, and to the rhythm
Yeah.
and the intonation.
And you can also watch music videos,
Oh, yeah.
which combine the visual and the musical.
That's true.
So you're getting a double dose of learning.
I feel like I've learned so much English from music and from movies.
Me too.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really fun and engaging way to learn.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here,
Yeah, we have.
but I think one of the most important things that this text emphasizes is consistency.
Consistency is key.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, you can know all of these strategies,
Yeah.
but if you don't actually use them,
It's not going to do any good.
it's not going to do you any good. You have to actually put in the work.
You got to put in the time.
And it doesn't have to be a lot of time.
No.
It can be just a little bit each day.
Even 15 minutes
Yeah.
can make a difference over time.
Yeah, it's like, training for a marathon.
Exactly.
You don't just go out and run 26 miles.
You've got to build up to it.
Yeah, you have to train consistently over time.
Yeah, little by little.
And the same thing is true for learning English.
Absolutely.
You have to be patient,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be consistent.
And don't give up.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yes.
into how to practice English every day, even if you're busy,
Mm-hmm.
we've uncovered 10 practical strategies that can really help you to improve your English skills,
Yes.
even if you have a really busy schedule.
Even if you only have a few minutes a day.
Yeah. And the key is to find what works for you
Exactly.
and to make it a part of your daily routine.
And here's a question for you to think about.
Okay.
What is one small change that you can make today to incorporate English practice into your life?
Yeah, like what's one thing you can commit to doing, even if it's just for 5 minutes?
Yeah, even if it's just listening to one English song
Yeah.
or reading one short article,
Yeah.
every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
So let us know in the comments
Yes.
what your one small change is going to be.
We'd love to hear from you.
And until next time, keep diving deep.